Until now, the total number of bodies that we have recovered from Shakahola forest since this exercise began stands at 241. And that includes 5 skeletons that were recovered after we had suspended the exhumation exercise. The search and rescue team stumbled on 5 skeletons on 2 different days, and they have already been recovered and are part of the human remains that will be the subject of post-mortem examination. Sadly also, yesterday we lost one of the persons who had been rescued from Shakahola forest and taken to hospital for stabilization because they continued to resist eating. We tried our best to feed the victim of this horrible crime with a lot of resistance, but because they had already been weakened significantly, that combined with their resistance to it made them to succumb last evening. And therefore, the total number of deaths so far is 241, including the 5 skeletons recovered after the exhumation exercise was suspended last week, and also that one victim who has died in hospital in the circumstances in which I've explained. We have been able to rescue 91 persons. Of course, now one of them has died. We have been able to take DNA samples from 93 cases. We have been able to reunite 19 victims with their families, and we have been able to arrest 34 persons until now. I would like to make the following further announcements. That unfortunately, we have evidence of more graves in Shakahola forest. And therefore, the suspension that took place on Thursday of the exhumation exercise is meant to allow this post-mortem exercise of the 129 bodies that are here to make sure that we are able to free this hospital mortuary because it is of limited capacity, and there are other deaths occurring through normal attrition, and therefore would like to free the facility, transfer the bodies to a temporary morgue, which has been provided, so that again other bodies could be retrieved. Now therefore, immediately after this exercise is completed, we will resume the exhumation of more bodies. It is sad, but that is the position. We will go back, and as I promised last time I was here, we will not leave any of our people in that forest, dead or alive. As I said again, I want to confirm on behalf of the government of Kenya that the government will not hide any information concerning anything about this horrible crime. So we'll be resuming back. I don't know how long it will take. This process that we are officiating the commencement today of phase 2 of the post-mortem examinations on 129 bodies. In the usual manner, the teams are the same. This exercise will be led by the Chief Government Pathologist, Dr. Johansen Oduor, who will be giving daily media briefs on the progress of this exercise on behalf of all of us every day at 5 p.m. Therefore, those updates will continue to be available, but the other teams are here, the forensics teams are here, government chemists is here, DCI, the Director of Homicide, and the team are here, and we are all here. I also want to clarify as follows, that the search and rescue mission has never been interrupted. In fact, we want to even upscale it a little more effective immediately. We believe, other than the additional graves that we have evidence and we have data showing that there are more graves there, we also believe there are more people, more victims who are holed up in that forest. And our experience in the last 2-3 weeks has shown some of the victims are attempting to escape from both the Mackenzie land, the so-called Mackenzie land, and also from Chakama Ranch generally. And we have been able to intercept some of them and rescued them as they headed to other areas, including the Galana Kulalo area and the Tsavo East National Park. We'll be announcing further measures to upscale the search and rescue mission to extend to new areas. And number 2, we will also be upscaling the rescue mission in terms of the use of technology. We'll also, number 3, be upscaling the search and rescue mission so that we make sure we comb the entire land and make sure every inch, every meter, every kilometer is accounted for and is cleared in terms of search for both live persons or even people who have been buried there. To make this happen, we have upscaled the technological devices that we are using, and we have also brought on board the Director of Survey of the Republic of Kenya, who is here with us and will be going with us to the forest to make sure that we comb that area. Every millimeter of that forest and ranch will be searched, and we will rescue anybody there, whether they are alive or dead. We believe, much more than before, that the offenses committed in Shakahola constitute some of the greatest outrages against humanity. We and our institutions that are responsible for the criminal justice system are still proceeding with the investigations. We have made tremendous progress. We have been able to arrest more people. You can see the number is growing. And some of them are in the second and third tiers of responsibility. We do not know what the courts will say because the judiciary is independent. But on behalf of the government of Kenya, I would like to announce to the people of Kenya that in order for us to establish with accuracy the responsibility for these crimes, the investigations might take a little longer, because if the Director of Public Prosecutions will be looking at charging these perpetrators with serious outrages against humanity, including genocide and crimes against humanity, then the investigations will take a little longer, and that is what happened all over the world. Those who know history and who have followed proceedings of international criminal tribunals, and the entire international criminal justice know it takes years to piece together a case for genocide, crimes against humanity, and other serious crimes, including radicalization, which is in the border of terror. So we don't know what the courts will say, but on the other hand, I want to assure you that the security agencies will provide watertight cases on all the suspects we take to court to charge them not with frivolous or third, fourth, fifth level types of offenses, because there are many offenses in between. But we want to first and foremost distill the most egregious of these offenses and deal with them from that level. And other forms of lesser offenses, the criminal justice system can still pursue those in the course of time. So this, I just thought I should say this so that I can plead for the patriotic patience of every Kenyan. Because it's one thing to rush and charge somebody in court, is another one to sustain a conviction, especially for serious, complex, organized crimes like the ones that have taken place here in Shakahola. We also will be pushing as government for extremely broad accountability on everybody who is involved. And therefore, between the Commission of Inquiry established by the President, our courts of law, and also the task force, there will be accountability for all public officers whose conduct or misconduct, whose action or inaction, whose omission or commission led us to this horrible event. Therefore, I just want to thank the team once more, wish them well. Occasionally, I'll be coming back to see how the teams are doing. And when I say teams, it's not just the experts and the government officials. All of us as a nation, we are in this together, including the media people, including the NGOs, everybody, including the local community, because we are engaged in this thing for the long term. I want to applaud the political leaders, especially from here, from Kilifi. I was getting a bit worried when we had started introducing politics into this exercise. I am glad that has now subsided. This is a criminal matter. People have committed crimes, and the worst thing we can do for the victims and their families is to politicize matters and in the process get away from the bullseye, which is to make sure two things. One, this never happens again. And number two, those who did this are brought to justice. So I want to thank the political leaders. This is not a political matter. There are very many things we can politicize. This is not one of them. And that applies also to national political leaders from every political persuasion and shade, whether politicians aligned to the government side or to the opposition side. Nobody will be allowed to trivialize and politicize this matter. And I say so because in the past there have been attempts to access the scene of crime by politicians. We don't want that repeated again. And on that note, I want to announce that all the measures that I had gazetted have been extended for another 30 days. I have already signed the necessary gazette notices for the extension of all those orders. That area, known as Chakama Ranch, which includes the 800 acres which were the headquarters of crime for Mr. Mackenzie. That area is a scene of crime. It is a disturbed area. It's an active security operation area. It is out of bounds for everyone. And everything, including the curfew orders, have been extended accordingly. I think we have so many long-term measures that we'll be announcing in the course of time. For now, I don't want to take much of your time, but we'll be announcing very many measures, including what we shall do with that piece of land, which is now essentially a cemetery, because we are recovering bodies from there. So we'll also be announcing other long-term measures, because a crime like this needs to be remembered for hundreds of years to come. We will be making drastic changes in the way we do things. We will be revitalizing our security agencies in a major and fundamental way, including all organs of national security without exception. Every organ of Kenya's internal security will be reorganized, revitalized, as a way of ensuring that we do not have another Shakahola elsewhere on the soil, on the land of our country. And finally, I would like to announce that the tracing of missing persons is also continuous and has not been interrupted. And all persons who have loved ones who are missing, not necessarily connected to this incident, they are free to call the call center that we have established and give us details. We are not leaving anything to chance. So far, 613 reports have been made. We don't know whether all of them are associated with this incident, but we better take on board every report of missing persons and try and trace them. That process is continuing. And between the two processes of search and rescue, and also the tracing and reunification of families, we want to upscale the activity to a 24-hour operation to make sure that it's seamless and is expedited. I am informed by the experts, led by the chief government pathologist, that this exercise might take some time, but they will try and expedite. They are working very hard, and we'll make sure that we go back again to the exercise that was suspended.